in hand. Okay. What did you guys have at the back?
Yeah, we were actually discussing this introduction coverage. The example which we have is of the key customer, it's a major bank. So it's obvious that a lot of interaction is required. There are several stakeholders involved and several contact departments now. So the interaction is like almost on a daily basis. This is via emails, via phone calls,
yeah,
or via visits as well. There are minimum of like 2 to 3 visits per week. Definitely, it depends on which stakeholder are you actually trying to engage with. So it's like this. And once again, the interaction has to be on every level to get the maximum information out of the customer.
Yeah.
So this is how it's being managed.
Okay, so in my book, I've got a scale of 1 to 10 on meetings. In this situation, you would probably have a red, yellow, green scale. Yeah, green, we interact with this person on a weekly basis. Yellow, once a month. Red, once every 6 months, or not enough contact, whatever it happens to be. You can have a lot of contact, middle contact, not much contact, no contact, or you can do it on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. I've met this person 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, etc. As long as everybody uses the same scale, it doesn't really matter. And as long as everybody is clear about the fact why we're doing it, because if you see here, this is an example. The guy is Fred Bloggs, the CFO. Hanno is one of our sales reps. He has met the CFO 2 times. And Istvan has met the CFO 6 times. So Istvan has got better coverage than Hanno. So if I need a meeting with Fred, who am I going to go to first? I'll go to Hanno first, because he's probably the guy who can arrange the meeting before... I'll go to Istvan first, because he's probably the guy who can arrange the meeting before Hanno can. Yeah? And so for people arranging meetings with these people, it kind of helps us to decide where we need to go. Yeah? But it also shows us very clearly where the majority of our coverage is going. And then, you know, we consider this 85% thing, and then we think, you know, how many of our contacts are in IT? And are we also having enough contacts to other areas of the organization as well? What is the balance there? Yeah? Another thing behind this as well is linking this to attitude. I have one company that I've worked with for a long time, and they have now, they're real techno geeks, yeah? So they've created one of these, and they've put Twitter windows inside the boxes, yeah? I don't know how it's possible, but they've got a basic template, and so they can reproduce the template, and there's a Twitter field in it, yeah? And so they get online, and they're kind of like an Xbox community, and so they pull this up in front of them and they have conversations about their customer online. And so you can see in the box, you scroll down through a big conversation, yeah? And one of the there's one line on attitude that says, I would not trust this person to sit the correct way on a toilet, yeah? And the next line says, that's because you don't use a toilet. Yeah? And the next line says, what do you know? So it's a very funny sales rep type of conversation going on here. But then very interestingly, the person who didn't like this customer also had no coverage with them. Yeah? And very often, you know, you can start drawing parallels between this. People have personalities. And your personality will either fit very well with the personality of the customer, or it will not. Yeah? And some personality types, you know, you cannot get married to everybody in the world. Yeah? Some people, however nice you are, just won't like you very much. It's kind of one of the dilemmas of the human race. Yeah? So, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, I've got some customers who I've been trying to sell to for years, yeah? They will never buy anything from me, never, yeah? But I will not stop trying, just in case, yeah? You know, maybe one day they'll, I don't know, maybe they'll go mad or something for a short period of time, and then that'll be my chance, yeah? So I'll be there when it happens, for sure. But I know one sales manager who uses this with a very clear intention. He wants to make sure the right people are speaking to the right customers. And if, you know, Istvan has met the guy 6 times, Hanno has met the guy twice. Istvan speaks to Fred for 20 minutes every time he meets him. Hanno speaks to him for 2 hours. Yeah? When Hanno meets him, it's a meeting of minds. Yeah? You know, it's good quality conversation. When Istvan meets him, it's just let's get the business over and done with, and then we can both go away. Yeah? So there's a quality of a relationship difference within there as well. I think there's one very important statement. Being a salesperson is much, 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 much easier and more fun when you sell to people that you like. Yeah? If you like your customers, then it's a lot of fun to be a sales rep. If you don't like your customers, then it's demotivational. It's not a lot of fun. Yeah? So, I mean, in this life, as a salesperson, definitely one of your hidden objectives is to replace the idiots with people that you like. Yeah? And that's a completely fair objective. Yeah? Because, you know, you can be a salesperson for the whole of your life. Yeah? Most of us are sales reps for all of our lives. We don't want to admit it, but it's the reality, so may as well get used to it. And then to go through a process of just looking at your customers and saying, which of my clients do I like? Which type of customer do I like more than the other? Yeah? And there are different ways and means of doing this, but this is one of them. Okay? So we've had attitude, we've had power, we've had pain, problem, issue. We are left with the compelling reason.
Mr. N, and it's a large organization, and he's the end user for the company, and he's trying to implement the financial suite of Oracle. So, compelling reason is that they have a very raw structure of their system, financial system, and he's facing a lot of problems, or it's not cost effective. People need to work late hours, and he has no visibility. And he needs to create more visibility and procedures and policies. So this is his compelling reason, that he needs to improve his systems.
Okay.
That's why he's very much willing to, and forcing everybody else in his company, the IT department, and everybody to implement this. And he's also the head to approve the budget for this project.
Okay. So when you think about compelling reason, you also think very much about this topic here, which is what is their job reality and what are they going through. And so the compelling reason for this CFO, what is it? What happens if they don't do anything? They lose money? Yeah? They lose money if they don't do anything. They've begun implementing something in order to save money, so if it's not successful, they lose money. Visibility. They don't have any visibility of what's going on. So if they don't do anything, then things remain invisible, so they lose more money. Yeah?
They won't be able to make decisions which
Okay.
are intelligent.
Okay, so they won't. So the compelling reason could be that his boss is coming to him and saying, come on, Fred, what do we do? And he says, I don't know. We can't make the decision because we don't have the data. Yeah? So maybe there's a lot of ego involved within it and a lot of personal respect and professionality. Yeah?
Compelling reason personality is a bit like this, that what if that this person is not
What if the person is not in the organization?
Then the shift is a comparison in my opinion. This is what I took earlier before the explanation.
Okay, I mean,
What if that CFO is not there, then what will be the outcome of our project? Is it like this? Because we have already discussed that what is the comparison of the project or of a company. We have discussed it earlier.
yeah. So,
What the personality should be like this? What if that this ID had leaves his job? What will happen to our project?
I mean, well, that's certainly a consideration. You know, what happens if this person is no longer there? Yeah? What happens if they disappear out of the equation completely? What happens to the project? And part of the pain and personality map is to think about this and say, if this is our power sponsor, what happens if they go? What are we going to do? Where do we take our project to then? Yeah? But the compelling reason for the person is also very much associated to the personality. Just a couple of examples. I'm working with a guy called Alexander at the moment, and he is 64 years old. He goes to retirement in about 6 months' time. Yeah? So we have arranged a workshop for about 2 weeks before he leaves. And the workshop is about change management. And he wants to send a message to his organization 2 weeks before he leaves about what they should do. And so, you know, this workshop is purely driven by his compelling reason. He's going to retire. This is his last opportunity to do something that counts. Yeah? Very, very interesting. I work with people who have told stories about new IT directors or people who are in, people who are like 30, 35 or so, who come into their jobs for the first time, and they have a need to change things. Yeah? They have to change stuff to put their fingerprint on whatever it is that they're doing. And so very often, you know, this need for personal visibility, to show yourself, to show that you're doing something, is very apparent as well. I mean, there is a story which is slightly different, which is about a Swiss bank. It's quite a funny story, and it will lead us into coffee, so it's even better because it leads us into coffee and tea. There was a software company that was selling a small piece of tailor-made software to add on to a core banking solution. And they had done quite well in their sales process. And during their last presentation, they had one line on a PowerPoint slide that said, minus 3 people. The chap listening to the presentation said, what does this mean? And they said, well, we think that it's possible that by putting this piece of software in, you might actually be able to reduce the number of people in this department by 3 over the course of about 6 months. We're not sure, we'll have to see how it progresses, but it's a possibility. And the chap apparently stopped the meeting there and said, okay guys, don't need to hear any more, thanks but no thanks, goodbye, and threw them out. Yeah? And they were quite confused. They went back to the office and they were telling somebody this story, and there was another chap there, a consultant from the banking and finance sector, and he says, let me have a look at the presentation. And then he saw this and he says, what does this mean? And the guy says, well, we think they may be able to reduce the amount of people that are involved in this process. And the chap says, okay, I think I may know what the problem is. Give the guy a call, tell him you made a spelling mistake in the presentation. Tell him you made a typo and you need to come and sort it out and resolve it for legal reasons or whatever. So they said, okay. And they went back to do the presentation, still confused, and they said, dear sir, look, we're very, very sorry about this. We suggested that you may be able to reduce the amount of people by 3 I don't know how to say this, but it's so embarrassing. Our assistant made a typing error, and it's not -3, it's +3. You may actually have to increase the workforce by 3. And he said, "Oh, really? Oh, well, that's very interesting. It's not very good, but it's very interesting. Tell me more." And now they're really confused because the customer bought the solution. They went back and they said, "What happened?" And the consultant says, "Well, you need to understand this chap's personal motivation and personal compelling reason. Under Swiss law, they work on a salary scale of 9 to 13. 13 is the top. This chap was on salary scale number 9. In order to get to number 10, he needs to wait for 3 years, or he needs to show the organization that he needs to employ more people. 49 people at the moment, plus 3, takes him to 52, which takes him over the scale into salary scale number 10, which gives him approximately 2,000 euros extra in a pay packet on a monthly basis, 14 times a year. Thank you very much." Every country has the same thing, but the Swiss do it legally. Yeah, it's part of the process. Yeah, and so people's personal compelling reasons are very important, very associated with ego, with interests, with personal need, with history, and with preference as well. Yeah, I met a guy from a company, from a paper company in Austria. He said, "I would never buy IBM. I'd never buy IBM." I said, "Why not?" He says, "Because I'm Sun. I do Sun. I've done everything on Sun all over my life." And I said, "That's not a rational reason." And he says, "You're right. My whole world is about rational reasons. So this reason is not rational." Yeah? Okay. And but he went to university and he did his thesis on Sun machines. He did his first program experiences on Sun machines. He was part of the Sun community, yeah, and he did everything on Sun. And so, getting this guy to change would be absolutely impossible, yeah. So a compelling reason for him is not to change, for whatever reason behind it. The pain and personality map says to us, have we put thought into the personalities that we're dealing with? No more, no less. Yeah. After the program, I will send you within the software, there is an Excel sheet where you can build this. There's also a simple table, text table, where you can put the information in as well. It's very important for big customers and the customers which are really very, very important to you, as having a basis of documentation for that. Obviously, you don't share this with the customer, and when you fill in information, you keep it diplomatic, because one chap was saying, what happens if you don't like somebody and you want to express this in here, and you need to find elegant ways of saying things, yeah? For example, if somebody has got a really, really bad attitude, then you write, occasionally, this guy has a brilliant idea. Yeah, or something like that. Keep it diplomatic, but then make sure you communicate it within the team so people can understand the humor and know what you're trying to say.